Welcome everyone to BARF. Alex, take it. Go,
Are you
Alex,
okay, Chad?
Go.
What?
Oh, I love it. Hey, everyone. Welcome to Respawning Fire. This is the Kick-Ass Irreverent Gaming Podcast. Alex asked me to do all of this at the beginning. I thought it'd be funny just to say go, and he was scared, and it was great.
No.
If you're listening to the audio version,
I wasn't going to catch your ball there.
He literally pooped his pants and he smeared it on the bookshelf. If you're listening, if you're watching the video version,
maybe the goose did it.
If you're watching the video version, he did that thing where he recorded a version of himself and then like played that as his camera while he actually smeared the poop. So that's why you didn't see it happen. We're on our special BARF episode where it's our backlog accomplishment with Respawn and Friends. We talk about an old-ish or like a retro game or like something that we all wish we would have played that we didn't. That you voted for over on patreon.com/respawningfire.
You said at the beginning, we play a game
Alex,
that's
do you
oldish,
want to go or not?
That's retro. Yeah, you know what? Just hand it over to me. Let's go. All
right,
Chad, you said podcast. We have to introduce it on the podcast. This is a mess. This
you know what? That's a good point. Chad,
this never happens like this.
You take the wheel again. You got to introduce the other people.
End the show, end the live, and then restart it, and we'll start over.
Welcome to Respawn. No, we're going. We're talking about Minit. Y'all voted for Minit over on page. No, you didn't. You voted for something, and then the Twitter poll tied
I'll explain
and we
that part.
decided Minit.
Chad, you have to introduce the people.
We did Minit. That's the game that we're playing. I'm Chad Michael, mumble my M&Ms in us. We've got your other co-host, Adam, Applebee's is everything, Gumbert. How are you, Adam?
I just died. It's been 60 seconds. I'm back.
Nice. Did you know that the timer is not actually 60 seconds? It's an interval that is slightly longer than a minute. ManlyBrian himself from the chat and the not to be associated with 007 No Time to Die, but instead the TimeToDie podcast network. How are you, ManlyBrian, Mr. Sir?
What game were we supposed to play?
We were supposed to play Hour. The Hours. And we were supposed to play The Hours.
I played Minute to Win It with Guy Fieri on the Wii.
Please tell me that's real. Please tell me that game exists.
Shit. Yeah, dude, it was funkalicious.
Oh my God. Googling it now. That game with Guy Fieri.
It was out of bounds.
Spelled two different ways.
I'm looking at it right now.
Here's the second way.
Here's the thing. I like Guy Fieri.
Game on Wii.
I really actually like Guy Fieri a lot.
Minutes. Is it real?
For the record, here's the thing, Chad. It's a real game. It's not a cooking game. It seems like it's some sort of like weird like beer pong game. I don't know. There's not a lot of screenshots of this game, but it's definitely not a cooking game, which is disappointing.
Well, the Food Network is the first hit on this, and it says Guy's Grocery Games Glossary. So I'm going to click on this, and we're going to explore this for a minute, see what we did there.
How did you not get accurate results with that search?
ABC, a virtual alphabet soup of letters, is how Guy Fieri describes his game known as ABC. This is stupid. We've also got Alex. Cozy up to me. Cozina, how are you, Alex?
Thank you, Chad. This has been just an excellent intro so far to this podcast. Truly just flawless. Thank you, Adam. I have the Amazon.com description of the Minute to Win It game in front of my eyes right here, right now. Now, there's no general summary of what exactly the game is about, but they do have a section titled About This Item. Bullet point number 1, 36 exciting mini-games. An assortment of 36 challenges are randomly selected to create a 10-round battle to heat up the competition.
Yeah, man.
Balance board compatible to add even more intensity to the fast-paced competition. The Wii version of Minute to Win It is compatible with the Wii balance board. Up to 4 players can battle at a time to increase the competition. Bullet point number 3, full character customization. Players can customize their characters to fully immerse themselves in the Minute to Win It experience. And finally, the final bullet point, adrenaline-fueled competition. I feel like this is the same bullet point 4 times in a row. As the prize money increases, so does the level of difficulty, making each challenge deceptively difficult. Players are sure to feel the adrenaline rush as the stakes increase each round. This game is only $8.99 American, which is actually not that bad. Apparently there was a version for the Nintendo DS that is slightly more expensive. It's $9.95, and the 360 version was $14. It seems kind of like a steal, to be honest with you guys.
Minute.
I don't know about you.
That's a Minute, everybody. Great game.
Yeah, that's about all I got to say
that's
about
a review
Minute.
of Minute.
Alex,
thanks for having me on the show, you guys.
Yeah.
All right. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we're here to review Minit, spelled
Now, sorry to interrupt
M-I-N-I-T.
you, Alex, but I have a very important announcement to make. I have an
great.
exclusive limited run Mountain Dew flavor that I have never seen before. Let me see if I can show you this flavor here.
Oh my God.
It's called, can you see
Mountain
that
Dew
there?
pee-pee?
Wow. It literally says
Oh my
PP
God.
Rush.
Is that Rush? Pee-pee Rush? Is that what it says? Pee-pee Rush.
I'm a little worried about it because it looks like Windex.
Did you
If
legit
you're-
design a label and print it out for this bit? Because that is fantastic.
I just think that if your pee-pee looks like this, I don't know, maybe you see a doctor. Alex, maybe you have a better chance of that since you have free healthcare. We're just going to tough it out over here in America. But
I don't know.
What does
Here's what I'll
it
say.
mean when my pee-pee is blue like Windex, but the liquid part, not the fleshy fun tube?
Thank you,
The mystery of
ChatGPT.
blue pee. The reason for blue pee is not a shocking one. The blue urine was the result of diet of European buckthorn, Rhamnus cathartica.
let me read
Here's
the
what I'll say.
Let me read the ingredients.
Okay. This is a
right,
bird.
I guess
This
this
is a bird
podcast is
peeing.
just about Mountain
bird
Dew now.
pee is blue.
European buckthorn on the ingredients list. Second one. Right before corn syrup.
Oh my God.
Here's what I'll say. When it comes to blue colored drinks, there's a lot of trickery going on in the drink industry. I don't know if you guys have ever had it, but there is a brand of kombucha drinks called Rise, and their peach and mango drink is blue colored. This is actually real. I was actually at a food truck festival yesterday and they were giving out free samples, and their peach and mango drink is blue for whatever reason. Of course, there's also blue raspberry, and we already know, all about the trickery going on there about how a blue raspberry literally is not a thing. I think we should get more on topic. Let's talk a little bit about Minit. Now, here's the thing, as Chad alluded to earlier, there was a little bit of fuckery that happened with this particular BARF game voting. We put out the poll on April 30th, and we asked you to vote between Minit, Gorogoa, Gato Roboto, and Mary's Room. I actually chose all 4 of the games that I just listed because I was like, you know what? We've been playing too many games so far this year that are way too long. Even games like Final Fantasy, Stranger Paradise, Final Fantasy Origin, not the longest game in the world, but still kind of on the long side. And so I was like, let's, have a little bit of a palate cleanser. Let's play some games that are a little bit on the short side, but that are still renowned for being pretty good. The one person that voted in this poll on the Patreon,
Yeah, we got a whopping
voted
one
for
vote.
Gorogoa. And the people that voted on Twitter ultimately voted for Minit. And I was the tiebreaker, and I decided, you know what? Let's just go with Minit on this one. And so we went with Minit. And
That's the case where the popular vote won, and the Electoral College did not. It's really the case.
Yeah, it's
Alex, the Electoral
kind
College
of a weird scenario.
is like it for you Canadians. It's like when a bunch of rich people get in a room and they decide we're going to let
pay
the
to win.
Americans think that they actually control this country, but yeah, we got this.
It's real life pay to win.
Yep.
Let's move on. Let's talk a little bit about Minit. Minute.
I feel like
and
we
I'm
said that
definitely
6 times now.
definitely not reading off of Wikipedia. The problem is that this podcast basically ends every minute, and then when it begins again, we're like on a completely different topic, like a completely different, like, just train of thought. Minute is an adventure game developed by John, maybe it's Jan or John, Willem Nijman, co-founder and one half of Vlambeer. Vlambeer, for those who don't know, it was founded by that guy whose name I just said, and Rami Ismail, most known for games like Serious Sam, The Random Encounter, Ridiculous Fishing, and Luftrausers, and also Nuclear Throne. Apparently, the game was published by Digital Devolver, or Devolver Digital, as they're actually known as. And I shouldn't have said apparently because they actually were. They actually were published by Devolver Digital. I don't know why I said apparently. And it was released on the Windows, Mac OS, Linux, Xbox One, and PlayStation 4 platforms on April 3rd of 2018. And it was eventually released on Nintendo Switch as well. I want to take a quick second to stop here and say...
You want to take a quick minute?
Man, me and Chad were really, really bummed out when we discovered that this was not a Vita game. I think both of us going into this assumed that this was a Vita game because, like,
yeah,
and we won't dive immediately into our thoughts on it on this right here, right now. But like, this game exudes strong Vita energy. This game feels like it would have been right at home on the Vita in like the mid 2010s. But alas, it never released on the Vita. In fact, I mean, you know, going over the platforms that originally released on it, never even originally released on a handheld device until eventually the Nintendo Switch version came around. And presumably you can also play it on Steam Deck as well, of course.
In their defense,
yeah,
Vita was basically dead by the time this came out. So
they could have, like, here's the thing. At this point in time, it's impossible to release new games on the Vita because they closed the, like, application process to release new games on it. But, like, 2018, you could have still put your game on Vita if you really tried and cared.
Yeah, obviously, I could tell by playing this, they did not try or care.
Let's get right into our thoughts on Minit. Adam, I see that you just posted a review, a quick little review of Minit in our group chat. Is this from someone we know?
Yeah, that's a listener wrote in with a review.
Got it. All right, we'll save that till the end then. Perfect. I'm going to go around the room and have everybody share their thoughts on this little game that we all played. Brian, you're our guest of the evening today. What did you think about Minit?
Before we kick off, I'm curious to see what Adam's going to say, because I'd just like to note that I was listening to a pretty cool podcast recently where Adam said, regarding Pikmin, he does not like games with timers. And that made me wonder, what is he going to do with Minit?
Yeah, right.
I have notes on Minit, and I don't really have a good summary about my thoughts. I didn't think about that. So I don't know what you want me to do.
Well,
so what the fuck do you want from me?
Just on like a very basic level, yay or nay?
I say yay.
All right.
And I guess I can summarize a little bit. I would say yay if you want something you can pick up and put down really quickly, just on a whim. If you're just waiting for the podcast to start and they're taking forever and they said 7:30 EST and you're just wondering if there's going to be a link sent, what's going to happen. I could have picked up Minit, played a couple rounds or 6, and I would have been good to go. Especially if you play on the Switch because it's handheld.
Adam, what'd you think about Minit?
I think Minit has really cool ideas, and I like the idea of playing this game at quote unquote a minute at a time. It's like feels like an old school, Game Boy adventure game, but just the twist on it is like you're gonna die. So that's how you play through the levels. I think that's a cool idea. I don't personally love that because, as Brian mentioned before, I hate games with time limits on them. And especially being quote unquote 60 seconds is really tough for me because I'm like, I feel like I'm not going to do anything. I actually got a decent way amount through the game. I didn't finish it, but then I watched a speed run, so I know what's going on.
You didn't even finish this game? That's
no,
like
absolutely.
a minute, not a minute, like an hour and a half.
I played it. I beat it in like 45 minutes.
Yeah, no, I did not. I was playing it.
Wow.
I was enjoying it, but then I was like, after I did like the base stuff, I was like, okay, kill the crab, do whatever, do this. Then I was like, fuck, I don't know what to do. And then that timer just keeps going down. I was like, you know what? I can't handle this. I hate having the time crunch on me whenever I feel like I don't know what I need to do. If it's like, hey, get to the end of this level in this amount of time, cool. If it's like, explore this open world within 60 seconds, like, oof, boy, that's tough. But again, like the idea, it's not an Adam thing. I don't have anxiety, but it's going to make me have it. So I think it's a cool game, but just for an Adam thing, I don't like the middle part was rough for me. I like the beginning, I like the conceit. I just don't like playing the middle part of the game.
Chad, I get the sense that considering you actually beat the game, you probably enjoyed it a little bit more than Adam.
I guess
Or
so.
did you?
Yeah, I guess I enjoyed it. The time loop mechanic is something that I also thought I was going to hate. It's the reason why I never beat Majora's Mask until I was like 30 years old, even though now it's like my second favorite Zelda game of all time. But this 60-second limit wasn't a deal breaker for me because I felt like everything I wanted to do or thought that I needed to do was easily accomplishable in that 60 seconds until you started getting to the end and where you're like, I have to take like the golden path in order to get right there to do this thing by the last second. So I'd like everything that I thought was accomplishable happened pretty easily. I did have to look up for a 45-minute game. I did have to look up a guide twice because I got stuck. But overall, I guess it was fine. I didn't hate anything about the experience, but I honestly don't think I will ever think about this game again.
Yeah, jumping into my own thoughts on this game, my thing about this game is I feel like this is an incredible premise for what could have been an incredible roguelike game that instead was made into what I think is kind of a mediocre Zelda-like game. I don't think it's all that bad, but as we've all kind of alluded to, the puzzles are a little bit on the obtuse side. Some of them are pretty easy and straightforward, like, hey, you got to figure out how to kill these 5 crabs in the limited amount of time you have. Others, like, how the hell do I get this fucking scuba diver to come out of the water? Like, I literally have no clue who believed we'd be able to figure this out on your own. This game also does something that's kind of a pet peeve of mine when it comes to these sorts of Zelda-likes, which is they give you some sort of offensive ability very early on. Like, hey, you can slash his sword forward, you can do some damage with it, and then all the upgrades and items that you get along the rest of the adventure are just superficial upgrades to that one ability. It's like, great, now you can use your sword to cut down trees. Now you can use your sword to cut down boxes. Or now your sword does like a little bit more damage, but the game never is like, well, now you get like a specific, like, now you get knives that cut down boxes. Now you get like an axe that cuts down boxes. It all kind of just uses the same item from front to back. And it's like, I recognize that, look, this game is meant to be very short. It's meant to be a very kind of sweet one and done experience. None of us should be expecting the world from it, but I just feel like the fact of the matter is that we are living in a world where there are now many, many other games out there that are like an hour and a half, 2 hours long that tell fantastic experiences. And on that wavelength put up against those games, I feel like this game doesn't really knock it out of the park all that much. You know, put up side by side with something like Gone Home, for example. I know some people will protest me making this comparison because Gone Home, a very different experience, an entirely 3D experience, probably much more expensive and many more man hours went into creating it. But like, I feel like that game accomplishes so much more in what is ultimately a very, very similar runtime overall.
I feel like we've said.
All right.
All right, Brian, take me through your notes.
If you want, I'll go through my
Brian's
notes.
stepping up to the
if,
plate. Come on, Brian. Knock it out of the park. End things on a high note.
If it incites more comments from you, maybe it'll spark something, but we'll see. The kind of what you were just saying, the 1 minute gimmick wasn't heavily utilized, I didn't think, such as with a game like Braid, where it also has a time mechanic, but it does so many different kinds of things with that The things they did with this was you run a long ways and you encounter a slow talking guy, and it's like, well, you better get to him fast or he'll run out of words. You won't hear everything he has
I
to
will
say.
That one particular moment that you're referencing right now, that was a fun moment. I thought that was actually a really fun use of the game's mechanic for that minute there.
I enjoyed that. That was clever. Especially I like the trophy pop at the end of it. That made it worth it.
Hell yeah.
I agree, but things like that and then just barely reaching your destination and making it easier for yourself by opening up shortcuts like such as the bridge and stuff, that's about all they did with the mechanic. I think that I can remember. Interestingly, if you've never played the game, you can go unlock new little headquarters for you to spawn in, new little spawn points. And it's similar to the way that I play survival Minecraft. If I go exploring, I'll build a little base with my new bed, and then I can, if I die, I start there instead of way, way back. It lets you get around the world a little better. Let's see, the graphics. What did you guys think about the artwork in this game?
I don't like black and white games. I'll say it right now.
What?
Not a fan of it.
You didn't?
Because
You
it
ever
was
played?
like
You like Undertale? Did you like Undertale?
no.
Oh my god.
I haven't played much of Undertale either. I like the, again, like Game Boy, Super NES style, but I do like a little bit of color. That's just me. It's just a weird personal thing. Like even if it's like greens or like Obra Dinn, I think looks cool, but it's not really black and white.
Yeah. I honestly, the art style didn't bother me. The only thing that did bother me was that your fucking dude looked like a Tamagotchi. It looked like the fucking first level
Is he a
Tamagotchi.
duck? Is
I
he
don't
a
know.
furry? What is he?
I don't know. I hated looking at his stupid face though the whole time, and his stupid bill with his stupid eyeballs and his dead stare.
That was
Carrying his knife on the back of his head. I hated it.
that was my nitpick. Character's a little kind of ugly, and there were moments where I couldn't discern things. The clarity, like I hit a black spot and I realized, oh, that's water. I had no idea.
Oh yeah,
There were little things that until I got context, I didn't know what they were just by looking at them.
I did
Color
appreciate
would have solved
looking
that
at
problem.
the graphic that's on the screen right now as it goes away. I did appreciate that, like the way that they made like your little circle of light in the dark areas, and they like the less light it got, it was just like less densely filled with dots. I thought that was a cool way of making that happen.
Yeah.
A fun fact about this game's art style, on Minit's Wikipedia page, Minit's artists listed are Kitty Callis and Dominic Johan, or maybe Johan. I don't know how his name is pronounced. Apparently, the British game designer known for his work on The Stanley Parable.
Oh.
Interesting.
Don't look anything alike.
Nope.
Little observation: the noise that the clock makes when it's counting down to your death reminded me of like.
Oh no! Wait,
2000.
hold on. I actually do need to issue a correction. Dominic Johan was the art director on Crows, which is a game that William Pugh, the director of the Stanley Parable, worked on. Not taking
So it's like
away
2
from
degrees
his
of Kevin Bacon away.
Yeah, not taking away from this Johan fellow's accomplishments. I'm sure he's a great guy. If you're listening to this, hello. I'm sure you're cool. But yeah, he didn't work on Stanley
Art was a
Parable.
racist.
No, don't go spreading misinformation like that.
Everyone named Johan is a racist.
I've heard that from 2 people on this podcast already.
I will say, I do want to say here real quick, real fast before I forget, the final boss of this game, actually pretty cool. I was
impressed
had a lot of
by
fun
that.
with the final boss.
I was impressed. I didn't think. I honestly thought we were going to get to the very end of it and just shutting down the sword factory was going to be the end of the game. And I was like, all right, fine. And then there was a boss. I was like, oh, okay, cool. The thing that I didn't enjoy about the boss is that it was an interesting mechanic of like the sword showing up and then you got to go to the one that just showed up and kill it. And that, but like if you died during it, it just respawned you back at the beginning of that part of the boss. Like I was like, oh, that feels too easy for the whole game. You're like restarting from these save points. Like, I don't know. It felt too easy.
I didn't mind that. What I was a little bit annoyed about is that the final boss is basically a point of no return. If you want to go and collect all the collectibles in the game, get all that stuff, you basically have to start a new save slot, which I did, and it didn't take that much time, but it was a little bit annoying.
That was interesting. I did get to the end and realized, oh, I collected like 24% of all the collectibles. I was very shocked.
I'm assuming no one did the new game plus or whatever.
I did.
Where you get so you get the broken sword and
because I went in and platinum the game.
Right. Interesting.
So the new game plus mode where you only have 40, it's 40 seconds.
Yeah.
Man, I can't even remember what this game featured. Yeah. You'd think it would be super duper hard. However, the thing about the new game plus 40-second mode is that you start off automatically with the broken sword. And so to beat the game on new game plus mode, you only have to interact with the toilet, deposit your broken sword in it, and you immediately beat the game. You get to like basically bypass the final act of the game. So it's actually pretty surprisingly reasonable. You can actually beat it very quickly if you know what you're doing.
It is harder though. There's less time on the clock. You only ever get one heart through the whole game. You get hit, you die, and then it's rearranged a bit. Like there were in New Game Plus, like there were 5 crabs and they were dispersed differently and weird little things like that.
A couple of changes, yeah.
Tell you one thing I should have known. I should have known going into this thing, the snakes. I was chopping up snakes left and right, and then I got that little ghost that tells me, snakes are your friends! And I was like, oh, fuck, they totally Undertaled me. What have I done?
Yeah, poor snakes. All right, I think we're spinning our wheels a little bit.
Well, I've got 2 things then, if you're about done.
Well, I've got more to say about Minit, you guys. That's why we're here.
Well, Brian, go
I'm
for
out
it.
of Mountain Dew.
I guess we're trapped here forever.
You can't leave. Brian, you go first.
Okay, I'll just go through them real quick. The noise the clock makes when it's ticking down harken back to the days of 2004 when I used to watch 24 on TV and there were 2 scene transitions. Wandering through the desert, the endless desert gave me King's Quest vibes.
Oh, yeah, King's Quest. I haven't thought about that in a minute.
Hey, I thought the pacing of this game was pretty good. When I wasn't sure what to do, it was usually just a matter of like going back to old places that I hadn't been to in a while and realizing, oh, there was this thing back here I didn't realize.
I tell you, the one thing that threw me off that I had to look up was the boat wood. It was like, give me some boat wood. It's usually near snakes. And every time that I went to a screen that had snakes on it, there was no fucking wood anywhere. And it's like, oh, it's the tree outside of the snake dungeon. That's like one of 2 things I had to look up.
One thing I didn't like about the minute timer is that you get all the way to your destination. It takes you that long to walk, and you have just a moment to get it done. And if you don't, it's like, I gotta start back. And for what? Because they have a gimmick. They got to do the gimmick, even if it's not for a good reason. Yeah. It's just annoying. And then there would be things you get, just like Stardew Valley. You unlock the island. You take all your time to get out there. It gets to the end of the day, and you have no time to do anything out there because you die and go back. But the last thing I wanted to say was, since you were gracious enough to have me on as the guest, I went a little above and beyond, and I actually played Minit Funracer.
Oh, yeah. I meant to bring this up in my notes, but that game came out in like 2021, right?
Sure. I don't know.
Minit Funracer. This
you're the Minit Funracer
I can
expert
tell
of the
you my
group here.
review.
You should know everything about it.
Tell us about Minute Funracer. It did look cool. I didn't
You're
play
still
it,
playing
but I
that
was
stupid
seems
duck Tamagotchi, though.
fun. Yeah.
I have a short little review I wrote.
Okay.
It'll take less than a minute. Minit Funracer should be called Minit Mild Amusement Racer. It's a procedurally generated endless racer where you have to avoid obstacles in your race car and collect coins to increase your always ticking playtime. Run out of time and the race ends. One odd thing about it is that although you start on a city road full of traffic, none of the people or the cars are moving. As you collect coins to increase your allotted playtime, You can spend them on upgrades between each session. One thing that's odd is every time you die, which will happen frequently, your menu selection will default to either try again, or if you can afford any item in the store, it will default to store. Which means if you can afford a cheapo item that you don't want, like the horn, every time you die, you have to like bump it up the selector to play again, because it's like, you want to go to the store? And I'm like, fuck no, I don't. Every time, let's see, blah, blah, blah. Purchasing all the items
5 seconds
happens...
left.
Fuck. Purchasing all the items happens pretty quickly, and it wasn't until I bought almost all the items that I finally made it out of the city biome into the wasteland. This gave me motivation to keep going forward, but sadly, once I bought all the items, my drive to drive kept plummeting. I didn't want to play anymore.
Oh my
so
God.
Not bad for $4, but it's not much more entertaining than a mobile game. It's something you can do with your hands at a bus stop or whatever.
Yeah, it sounds like a mobile ass game, which isn't always
1
bad,
minute
but
and about 14 seconds.
Well, that's only... I could have done it in a minute. It took me about 30 seconds to realize you were counting, and then I got put under the gun.
That sucks.
Alex doesn't have guns. He's in Canada.
That's true. They can't have them up there. All right, so I got two things.
Completely banned.
I got the review from Keaton from Secret Levels.
For the record, that's what I was queuing up earlier when I said we were spinning our wheels.
Oh, okay, you're fine. You're good. So this is from Keaton. I know him from Secret Levels Discord, which me and Chad won Retro Olympics over there because we're so good at trivia. Well, specifically, I'm really good at trivia. Watch Rafferty. It's out now on Patreon and on normal YouTube.
Spoilers. Apparently, Adam won.
In the first episode, yeah. Minit is a crazy idea that was amazingly executed. It's a dangerous game because...
Amazingly executed.
Yes, it is a dangerous... Let me read the review, Alex.
Did you guys...
This person's not here to defend themselves.
I know you probably just said this like a minute ago.
Alex,
and I'm
don't you know it's rude to interrupt?
I'm not even trying to make a pun, but like, did you guys beat this guy's game?
Do what?
What?
What? No, I didn't. Everyone else did.
Ah, damn it. I was going to be like, there's no way the guy that's saying, "Ah, man, it's an amazing game," can make some sort of game show thing that Chad Michael Innes and Adam Gumby wouldn't be able to beat.
Wow, insane. Wow. Minute, excellent. It's a dangerous game because it's the very definition of quote unquote just one more run. Oh, I almost got that item, but I got caught up in that corner, so next time I can get that item. Since every run is so quick, you don't realize that an hour has passed. That's from Keaton. And I got a little game for us. We're just going to do one round, 1 minute apiece. Not really 1 minute. It's going to be this or that. These are time loop things. Which one do you think was better? I'm going to start with Alex. Do you like Deathloop more, or do you like Majora's Mask? What do you think is a better implementation of time loop mechanics? Not which one do you think is better, which one's a better time loop story?
And by the way, by all means, time me. Like, I know I gave Brian a lot of grief earlier. All right. It's tough because like Majora's Mask is a game that, you know, I have so much nostalgia for. I still think that game is very strong. You know, though, I'm going to be spicy. I'm going to say Deathloop. I appreciated all the like modern like advancements in mechanics, just the kind of like overall fluid feel of that game. The one area where Majora's Mask I think is still a better game than Deathloop is the quality of the writing. I think the quality of the writing in Majora's Mask is still, after all these years, surprisingly top notch. I thought some of the writing in Deathloop a little bit on the kind of childish side, but overall Deathloop wins.
Okay, Chad.
Those children say fuck a lot in Deathloop. Those childish writers, they say fuck so many times.
You're not entirely off from some of the quality.
Chad, do you think
yes
that Returnal is a better implementation of a time loop or Outer Wilds?
Here's the thing. I played 10 minutes of Outer Wilds and said, no thanks, don't like this. So definitely Returnal, because it's fun to play. And Outer Wilds is frustrating and boring and stupid.
Yeah. Even though Returnal is not actually a time loop game. All right. I've got one for you. I
don't even think I got far enough to know that Outer Wilds was a time loop game either. So.
That's true. Brian, I got two for you. You've already mentioned it, but Braid. So do you think Braid is a better implementation of a time loop, or a little podcast about Bemidji?
Oh, shit. Why did I say yes?
About what?
Tell them about the podcast real quick. He did a time loop podcast on TimeToDie.
Adam was our guest on our TimeToDie podcast, and we had a one-shot where we played Halloween. No.
It was Christmas. I'm talking about the Bemidji one, though.
I'm trying to remember. We did Bemidji for Halloween. No, we
I don't
didn't.
remember. I wasn't in Bemidji though. You mentioned me in the background.
What is
Oh, it was
this
a
thing?
Chris.
What is this Bemidji?
Tell them about Bemidji.
Hey, Chad, if you
Yeah.
could just cut all this and then splice it together when I start talking about the
100%.
right
I
stuff.
will do
Live
that.
on
Yeah.
Twitch. 100%.
Thank you. So Bemidji, we had this one shot where it was basically Groundhog Day, except with murder. Our characters kept fucking dying all the time. It was a good time. Our episodes are edited in an audio drama style with sound effects and music, but we're doing actual plays like Dungeons and Dragons and Morkborg and all the likes. So you should check it out. TimeToDieRPG.com.
Bemidji is also a city in Minnesota, and from
That's
the
what it's based on.
photos, it looks like a place where you wish you would die every day.
I say Bemidji's better than Braid because you killed a child by choking on McDonald's in that episode.
Ooh.
So I think that's pretty good.
And if
Spicy
that
nugs.
offends you, Tim killed the child. I
That's
didn't
true.
have
You
anything
didn't
to do with it.
technically. Yes, very good.
Tim,
All right.
Tim's a monster.
He is awful. He's great. That's my games. That's it.
Wait, Adam, you didn't get one. Which is Adam? Which is a better time loop? That movie where Keanu Reeves leaves messages in the lake house mailbox,
That's a good one.
or Looper where there was bad makeup.
I haven't seen Looper,
Okay, but what's your answer?
so the mailbox
Nice.
I was going to say,
or the lake
I
house.
was going to say,
actually,
I would go.
that's what
I would
it's
go with the Keanu Reeves one. I saw Looper. I thought the movie was okay.
called. Now I'm done.
Is that it?
All
Are
right,
we all done now?
and I guess that's it. I
All
will say,
right.
before we completely and utterly conclude this weirdly long podcast episode that we've done, I will say to actually try to end this on a coherent note. This game is interesting because, as we went over at the beginning-ish of the podcast, this game was made by a lot of pretty talented names in the game industry, like one half of Lambier, people that have been involved in the works of the guy that made Stanley Parable. Apparently, I was looking through the designers. One of the other designers is Jukio Kallio, which sounds like I'm making up names at this point, but he was responsible for working on the soundtracks for, in addition to Minit, Fall Guys, and Nuclear Throne, and Luftrausers. And it's this game has a lot of great talent that went into it, and it reminds me so much of when a big Marvel director makes her $200 million Marvel movie, and then the next movie they make is a $5 million budget nothing movie. After directing Avengers, what was it, Infinity War, and then it was Endgame. After Endgame, do you know what movie Joe and Anthony Russo directed next?
The
Extraction.
Babysitter, starring Vin Diesel.
They directed a 2021 American crime drama film called Cherry.
Oh yeah, with
Starring
Tom
Tom
T.
Holland.
Holly.
Not seen that movie. For all I know, it's actually
pretty
pretty
good.
decent. But
Yeah.
And
I
they
feel like
directed-
this. I feel like Minute has very similar energy to this. Of a bunch of real talented folks got together and were like, "Oh man, we spent so much time and money making our other bigger games. Let's just bang something small out." And you know what? I kind of got to respect them for that, even if I don't absolutely love the game. And that's all I have
And
to say.
And they directed one episode of Minute to Win It with Guy Fieri. I just want to say before we close off, I fooled you guys. I was drinking Summer Freeze Mountain Dew this whole time.
It was
Easy
all
Rush
worth
was
it.
just a facade.
Man.
It was all worth it.
It wasn't that bird pee.
Suckers.
Well, thank you, Brian, for being on the podcast. In case somebody didn't listen about 3 minutes ago, what are some things that you do, where places people can find you, etc.?
Time to Die RPG on our social medias. That's Twitter, Instagram, and sort of Reddit. Not really, but you can find us there. And then head over to TimeToDieRPG.com to find all of our content and episodes.
Dope. And then everyone go to patreon.com/respawningfire, where you all voted on our BARF game for June. Apparently, it was the hardest poll that we've ever put up, and we've had 3 or 4 different people
I will say, real talk, y'all showed up on patreon.com/respawningfire to vote for this one.
Yeah, we went from 1 vote to 6 votes, which is half our patrons.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Yeah, plus everyone on Twitter. We got a bunch of people on Twitter. Remember, Twitter collectively counts as one Patreon vote. So if you want your vote to count more, go to Patreon. That's the Electoral College. This time you all did vote for a game that I will play on PlayStation Vita because I already own it there, Axiom Verge. That is what we are playing.
Hell yeah!
Metroidvanias, baby.
I will reserve my thoughts on this game for the time being, but I will say this is a game I previously tried playing and did not complete. So I will finally get around to beating it.
I will give you guys a heads up. If the first biome of this game is basically just old school Metroid 1 and it's not great for that reason, once you branch out past that, it turns into its own thing.
Dope.
Okay.
So Adam, if you do your classic, I hate this, I'm putting it away, I'm just letting you know, there's good stuff out there. You just got to get to it.
Adam's going to find some random
Don't
thing.
Bayonetta this shit.
Yeah, he's going to find... Oh, sorry. Axiom Verge. There was one block that was like a shade of purple that I don't fuck with that shade of purple. So I didn't finish it.
Okay.
I literally cried tears when he said he stopped playing Bayonetta. And then Alex was like, it gets action heavy after where you left off.
Minute is cherry. Alex, go see. I love it. Adam's frozen and dead. So with that, we will hop off. Thank you, Brian, for joining us. We'll be right back on twitch.tv/affability. It's in 15-ish minutes for our regularly scheduled programming. Boo-doo-boo-boo-boo. Don't have sex. Always wear condoms. That's our sign off for this one.